So imagine you lend against that inflated value, and then the borrower defaults because their play is, I'm going to borrow more than this thing's worth. I'm going to take the money as an equity takeout, and then I'm going to disappear. And then they do disappear. So the mortgage goes into default, and somebody, then you end up in possession of it. You try to sell it, and the market doesn't command the value that you think. So now that's when you realize the fraud. That's when you realize you lent too much money and you get stuck holding the bag. Well, it doesn't take very many incidents like that for the people who got burned to talk. And what it does, it shames the whole industry, right? It puts a black mark on the whole industry. And it makes it so that private lenders hesitate. Now, when private lenders hesitate, there's less private money out there. When there's less private money out there, there's going to be legitimate private borrowers who don't find money and are forced to sell. If enough of that happens, we've talked about this multiple times. You flood the market with inventory, values plummet, it affects everybody. So we have to be very diligent about mortgage fraud, especially mortgage fraud that manipulates values of properties. Well, the good news is it's relatively easy to detect. If you do this every day, it's not something that gets through our net, right? We don't just rely solely on an appraisal, or we look at other things like that are accessible to us. MLS being one. We have a great sort of team of friends that are realtors that can access additional information for us if necessary. You can go visit the property. You can look around the area and see for yourself if the value makes sense relative to everything around it. Right. So it's not that difficult to detect that particular one, but there are other forms. There are other forms of fraud, like somebody switches title from a legitimate owner to another owner. Let's say you find a property, an older couple is living there, they've been there for 30 years, and the house is paid off. Now imagine if you're able to somehow change the title of that property into your name with the help of a lawyer, for example, and the couple doesn't know.